Hey guys, I thought today we would talk about my favorite topic, which is money, but this is my not favorite topic, which is how we are losing money. And there are a lot of ways as designers we are losing money. And probably the most important piece of this is how we're using our time. Because at the end of the day, time equals money in the design world. So here's the coolest thing about what we do for a living, you guys. Like, honestly, the coolest thing ever is that we can design, put it up, and it will live the lifetime of a website, right? So we're designing once and making money on that thing for as long as humanly possible. If it's sitting on the internet, okay? Different if you're getting a contract, right? So we design something, we give something to a manufacturer, and it lives the length of the physical product, right? So it's pretty cool. Like, there are so many ways we're making money while we're sleeping that other professions do not have, okay? But because of this, we should be paying even more attention to the way we're using our time. So one of the main ways we're losing money, you guys, is by simply not knowing the software good enough and being able to implement in it fast enough. Now, what do I mean by this? That means when I open up my Illustrator and I am in there and I'm designing, but I don't understand all the tools, or I don't understand how to get from A to B, and I spend all this time trying to figure it out because I need this one thing to happen, that is time lost. Now, if this happens once, it's no big deal for this particular issue that I've got. Then I learn it, I try to remember how I did that, and then I do it faster the next time. And if I get faster and faster and faster, then it's worth it. However, if we learn it once, but then we don't retain it and we can't get faster the second time, then we're relearning things over and over again. This is part of the reason I stress designing every day, is because if we're in the programs every day, what happens is we learn the software so well, so good, that what happens is that it's really hard to not retain the information that is needed in order to become really good in the software. And becoming fast is the number one way we don't lose money as designers. Becoming fast. It's so simple, yet very hard to implement. And it really comes from designing every single day, okay? So that's one of the main ways that we might be losing money. The other way we might be losing money is through our processes. Now, this did not exist it might have existed 5 years ago, but not in the way it exists now. And I'm seeing it personally as I've changed the way that I process and do design work. Recently, I've started using Procreate more often, which I do not love, okay? And I'll tell you why. It adds extra time to what I'm trying to do. Why? Because I have to take it from Procreate, which is a pixel-based program, and I have to figure out how to manipulate it in Photoshop. And I have processes for dealing with this, but it still takes extra time. And then I have to go into Illustrator and I have to vectorize it. These extra layers of processing is an issue. And whenever possible, I do try to design directly into Illustrator on the iPad or directly into Illustrator on my computer, because what happens is I get that time back, right? And when I get my time back, I lose less money. So I think that one of the reasons I want to talk about this is because a lot of you are losing more time than you realize, and you think that you're being efficient when you're not. And I want to emphasize to you that the faster you can learn the vector programs, the easier it will be. Now, am I telling you not to use pixel-based programs? No, I am not. You can absolutely use Procreate. You can absolutely use Photoshop. I personally, myself, am using them for certain things because they do some of the things I need them to do. So if they do something you need them to do, then we have to use them. But then we've got to figure out how to make that process faster, because if we can make the process faster, what can happen? We will stop losing money, okay? All right, the other way we are losing money is by simply choosing the wrong shops. Ugh, I hate this one, okay? There are lots of great shops out there, but we need to choose the ones that we know are making money. We do this by research, we do this by having the inside scoop. What I'm telling my design members to get into today is completely different than I was telling them 1 year ago. Yes, that's right, different. So I am definitely not going to tell you what shop you should or shouldn't be in right now, because it's individualized and it's time sensitive, which is part of the reason I have a program, because we can pay attention to what's making money and what's not. And I can see it happening in my own shops, and it helps make me make good decisions with my designers so that we're choosing the correct shops, okay? So getting that inside scoop is key. Oh my gosh, it's so key to figuring things out. Now, if you don't have the inside scoop, then you need to spend time building up maybe multiple shops until you can kind of figure it out, which is, it's so tough. Which brings me to the last way I want to talk to you about how you might be losing money, and that's by diversifying, which sounds so crazy. You guys know I believe in diversification, especially multiple streams of revenue in your business. But it happens over time. It doesn't happen at the beginning. And so one of the hardest things at the beginning of your design career is, of course, choosing the correct place to be in or the correct shop to be in, and then figuring out how you're going to niche down or how you're going to market your goods. And what I see so often is designers are trying to do a little bit of wallpaper and trying to get a fabric contract, and then online selling their Cricut files, and then they've got some Cloveforge files over here. And you guys, when we are all over the place like that at a single instant, we are just losing. It is absolutely losing, because it's really hard to switch our brain back and forth between all these things. It's really, really hard. And so because of that, what happens is we never see any progress. So it takes some time to figure out what we need to be doing. But one of the main ways I see designers losing money is by being scattered. And being scattered is so difficult because sometimes you don't even know you're scattered. Like I'll talk to designers and they're like, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. And I'm like, have you seen any progress? And they're like, no. And I was like, let me tell you why. It's very obvious to me. It's usually very obvious to other designers who are in my program because they see the same thing over and over and over again. And the ones that are winning in my program are being very smart and very strategic. We know what shops to be in, and we know exactly which, what products we ought to be making, which is really cool. Okay. All right. I really hope that you took some of these things and you're able to implement them into your own business. I don't want you losing money. As designers, we should always be making money because it's super fun. If you want to learn more about making money, if you want to learn more about Design Suite, you can check it out on my free training or my free workshop where I tell you about the 3 secrets that no one else is talking about in the industry. And you can find that at carinagardnercourses.com/free training. Go check that out. I think you'll really enjoy it. Is it the only free thing I do other than like talking to you guys on the podcast and YouTube and on Instagram? It's the only free workshop I have. Everything else I have is less expensive, but it costs some money to get into because I usually talk really in detail on certain things. And then of course there's Design Suite, which is a year-long program. And that is not a cheap program. I always tell people that because I don't want them to be extremely surprised. But we're like a postdoc program. We don't mess around. It's a year long. It's taught by me, university level coursework. And we are doing things differently than you will hear of anywhere else in the industry. And it's because I've owned a design business, because I've been a creative director, and because I have a Ph.D. And all of those things contribute to a program that is really meant and set up to help you win and to make your investment back, which is what I really want to have happen. All right, guys, thanks so much for joining me today, and I will see you soon. Hey, did you know that you can visit me at makeanddesign.com to learn more about this podcast and join my VIP group for weekly freebies? I can't wait to see you there.